Good morning, everyone. My name is Jack Daniel Biabon from third year Values Education. Today, our topic is all about technology and summative assessment. When we say summative assessment, these are the performance of the students that based on the three components, the written work, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment that given at the end of the lesson or unit. Summative assessment is the assessment for learning. It means it occurs at a particular unit to describe the standard reached by the learners. According to the UNESCO, judgment derived from summative assessment are usually for the benefits of the people other than the learners. These assessment activities that aim assessment to determine the learner's mastery of content or attainment of the learning outcome. Through this assessment, it benefits the learning outcome of the students for them to understand and meet the content and performance of the students. Here in summative assessment, the teacher measures the student learning to assess how they learn, and the result of this assessment are recorded and in the meantime reported to the parent and guardian. This is actually the traditional way of evaluating the summative assessment to showcase the knowledge and skills of the students.
As I have said earlier, summative assessment is the ridge between two sequential mountain summits. The first mountain summit is the training ground, and the other side of the valley is the battlefield's area. Audition comes to filter in the able and unable, the competitives and the delinquents. This is the highest point of the practice and the baseline of the career. In order to pass examination, you need some guts to be qualified, and these are accuracy, analysis, checklist, self-evaluation, and peer evaluation.
There are five different ways to measure student learning in summative assessment. First is accuracy, second is analysis, third is checklist, fourth is self-evaluation, and last is peer evaluation. Accuracy. Accuracy refers to how correct learners' use of the language system, including their use of grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. Accuracy is often compared to fluency when we talk about a learner's level of speaking or writing. Analysis. A learner analysis ensures that the learner benefits from a productive learning environment that can leave a lasting impact on their lifelong learning. Checklist. The use of checklists is effective in supporting student learning. These tools encourage students to play an active role not only in their assessment, but in the learning process. Self-assessment. Student self-assessment occurs when learners assess their own performance and is primarily used to help students develop specific learning skills that they will need for professional competence. This process may assist in making students more aware of more responsible for their own learning process. Peer assessment. Peer assessment involves students taking responsibility for assessing the work of their peers against set assessment criteria. They can therefore be engaged in providing feedback to their peers, sometimes referred to as peer review. Summative grades, moderated by your own colleges, or a combination of the two.
Individual and collaborative summative assessment. Learners may be assessed individually through unit tests and quarterly assessment. Collaboratively, learners may participate in group activities in which they cooperate to produce evidence of their learning. The process of creating a learning project is given more weight or importance than the product itself. In collaborative learning is a form of instruction that promotes an active classroom learning environment where the students from pairs or groups to accomplish tasks. It can bring the benefits or it can bring benefits of collaborative learning to assessment, transforming it into a learning experience. So in individual learning requires students to manage their time, which some students may not handle well. Individuals and collaborative groups generally receive distinct forms of tasks from teachers. One motivation is for convenience, while another is for fairness. It is easier for teachers to give tasks to individuals because the students are solely responsible for completing the task. The tasks are usually smaller because only one person is working. Students can ask for guidance individually, but they cannot copy from a group member. Students in collaborative learning rely on others for assistance, which is fantastic because benefit if they take use of it.
Technology. Involving technology will help students to motivate and apply technology in doing assessment. In this way, it evolved the communication and education in summative assessment. So, it is not hidden from our knowledge that technology is a great help to us as a student where even though our situation is like blended learning, we still have communication for study and do what our teachers ask to do. Also nowadays we use gadget for studies to still become connected with others and we can get easily search in the Google to know new things and new knowledge. How is technology used to communication? Technology has made communication much easier in several ways. Not only you can share information quickly and reduce the impact of language differences and distance, but you can save time and money. Using technology to communicate and reach as wide an audience as you need. So, okay, the example of that, especially now in our study, we use some of applications such as Zoom, Google Meet, or through Messenger to communicate with the teacher and student, right? And then Google Classroom and Gmail, it is easier to send and download the file and the activities. In addition, if we notice in the end of the assessment or the semester rather, we have access to Google Form and e-portfolio, no, to know the teacher if what we learn in the end of the semester and others.
Now let's proceed to the components of summative assessment. This assessment is classified into three components that will be basis for grading. These are the written work, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment. For number one is written work. Ensure that students are able to express skills and concept in written form. For example, which may include long quiz and written tests that help students to strengthen test-taking skills among learners. As we all know that all the written work we're doing inside the classroom are type of summative assessment. This include all the essay, reports, lecture, quizzes are part or examples of summative assessment. This will focus on the cognitive process dimension of the students for them to understand, gain knowledge and skills in doing written work.
Performance-based tasks allow learners to show what they know and able to do in diverse ways. They may create or innovate products or do performance-based tasks. For examples, demonstration, project, portfolio, multimedia presentation, and oral work. A performance task is any learning activity or assessment that asks a student to perform to demonstrate their knowledge, understanding, performance tasks yield a tangible product and or performance that serve as evidence of learning, unlike a selected response item, like multiple choice or matching type, that asks a student to select from given alternatives. A performance task presents a situation that calls for learners to apply their learning in context. Example of performance assessment include composing a few sentences in an open-ended short response, developing a true analysis in an essay, conducting a laboratory investigation, creating a portfolio of student work, and completing an original research paper.
Measure student learning at the end of the quarter. This may be in the form of objective tests, performance-based assessment, or a combination wherein it may include such quarterly tests or exam or evaluation. Example, the unit test is a test method for students. Quarterly exam will be a cumulative exam that includes material form the entire first marking period. And the last, a final examination is a test given to students at the end of the course of study of training.
So this is a summary of the table to clearly show you the three components of summative assessment. When we say written work, this is given at the end of the unit or topic. We all know that in our module, we already familiarized the learning summary, reflection, and assessment were a written work that is given at the end of the topic. Next is the performance task, which given at the end of the lesson. This focus on the skills targeted on the lessons or the objective of the lesson. Students' activities performance that is also recorded and graded at the end of the lesson. Last component is quarterly assessment. When we say quarterly, this is given at the end of the quarter. Once all the activities are done, this must be submitted and reported to the teachers. These are the exams, requirements, and modules for them to ensure and complete their requirements on their subject area. How is learner progress recorded and computed? For kindergarten, checklists and anecdotal records are used instead of numerical grades like portfolio to compile the output. The child demonstrate knowledge and perform the task expected to a kindergarten learners. This commonly the actual activities that kindergarten teachers to measure the children capabilities like use of checklists. For example, doing active activities like games, role play, that usually a performance-based activity. Now for grade 1 to grade 12, quarterly assessment should be instant for students to produce a written work and to demonstrate what they know and can do through a performance. In this level of learning, the effective of giving assessment is matter and important because in this level, the learning is a progress and continuous and the student need to adopt the learning and the assessment. Percentage score are then converted to weighted score to show the importance of each component in promoting learning in different subjects. To do this, the percentage score is multiplied by the weight of the component found for grade 1 to grade 10 and next is for senior high school. The grading system for senior high school follow a different set of weights for each component. This table presents the weights for the core and track subject. The sum of the weighted score in each component is the initial grade. The initial grade will be transmuted using the given transmutation to get the quarterly grade. So, quarterly grade for each learning area is written in the report card of the students.